All right, today we are diving into one of the most important industrial processes on the entire planet, how we make the king of chemicals. Let's jump right in. So let me start with a quick question for you. Think about these three things: the battery that gets your car started, the fertilizers that help grow our food, and the detergents that, clean our clothes. What on earth could they possibly have in common? Believe it or not, the answer is sulfuric acid. It's this kind of invisible ingredient, right? It's a key part of making countless products that we use every single day. Its incredible versatility and just how widespread its use is, well, that's exactly why chemists have nicknamed it the king of chemicals. So if this one chemical is so vital to modern life, that raises a pretty important question. How in the world do we make it? Well, the world relies on this really elegant and efficient method called the contact process. Okay, so here's the textbook definition. At its core, the contact process is all about taking a simple gas, sulfur dioxide, and oxidizing it, which is just a fancy way of saying we're going to react it with oxygen, to create something new, sulfur trioxide. Then, that result gets absorbed in a really clever way to make our final product. Let's break down exactly how that's done.
The best way to think about the contact process is like a carefully controlled, multi-step recipe. We're going to follow the ingredients all the way from their raw state to the finished bottle of pure sulfuric acid.
And here's our roadmap for this explainer. It all kicks off with making some sulfur dioxide, then comes a supercritical cleaning step. After that, we have the main chemical conversion, which is followed by a clever absorption trick, and finally, dilution. So yeah, it's a 5-step journey from beginning to end. Step 1 is actually surprisingly simple. You just take elemental sulfur, that yellow non-metallic element, and you burn it in the air. The sulfur combines with oxygen and boom, you get sulfur dioxide gas. It's a really straightforward and efficient way to start our recipe.
Now, before we do anything else with that gas, it has to be thoroughly cleaned. And I mean, this step is absolutely crucial. Any little bit of dust or moisture left over can completely ruin, or poison, as chemists say, the very, very expensive catalyst we need for the next stage. So this isn't just about chemistry, it's also about economics. You got to protect that investment.
Okay, this is it. This is the heart of the entire process, the main event. Here, our purified sulfur dioxide reacts with even more oxygen to create sulfur trioxide. But I want you to notice that special little double arrow in the middle of the equation. That symbol means the reaction is reversible. It can go forwards, but it can also go backwards. It's like a chemical tug of war. And that makes getting the conditions just right absolutely critical to make sure we actually end up with more product than what we started with.
So at this point, you might be thinking, hang on a second. If you've got sulfur trioxide, can't you just add water to it to make sulfuric acid? I mean, that seems like the most logical next step, doesn't it?
Well, here's where the process gets really, really clever. If you try that direct route, just adding water, the reaction is so intense, so violent, that it creates this dangerous, uncontrollable fog of acid that's almost impossible to collect. So the smart way, the industrial way, is to bubble the sulfur trioxide through existing concentrated sulfuric acid. This creates a much more stable intermediate product called Oleum, nice and safely.
And this brings us to the final step. That stable oleum we just made can now be mixed safely with water. It dissolves easily, very controllably, and gives us our final product, pure concentrated sulfuric acid. It's just an ingenious workaround to what would otherwise be a very dangerous problem.
So, we've walked through the recipe, but what's the science that makes that critical third step, the heart of the process, so successful? Let's take a look at the precise conditions that make it all work so well.
It all comes down to dialing in these 3 conditions perfectly. First up, temperature. It's a sweet spot, right around 450 degrees Celsius. See, it's got to be hot enough to be fast, but not so hot that a reversible reaction starts going backwards on us. It's the best possible compromise for a high yield. Second, pressure. We actually keep it low, just 1 or 2 atmospheres. Why? Because the reaction works great without it, and this saves a fortune on building and running expensive high-pressure equipment. And finally, the secret ingredient, a vanadium 5 oxide catalyst. A catalyst is kind of like a chemical matchmaker. It dramatically speeds up the reaction, giving the molecules a perfect place to meet up, but it doesn't get used up itself. It just helps things along, over and over and over again. So when you put this clever recipe together with those super precise conditions, you get a truly winning formula. The contact process produces incredibly pure acid. It achieves something like a 99.5% yield, which means almost no raw material is wasted, and it can run as a continuous, efficient process 24/7.
Okay, so let's bring this all back home. We started with all those everyday items, and now that we know exactly how sulfuric acid is made, let's connect it all back to our daily lives.
And here we are, full circle. From the fertilizers that feed us, to the batteries that power our cars, to detergents, paints, and even refining gasoline, the king of chemicals is literally everywhere, all thanks to the elegant and efficient chemistry of the contact process.
You know, the contact process is a perfect example of the hidden chemistry that holds up our modern world, an incredibly complex dance of molecules happening constantly, just out of sight. It really makes you wonder, right? What other invisible processes are out there, building the world all around us?